All right, and we are back. I am joined once again by Dr. Christopher Verga, this time on a Thursday instead of a Tuesday. We are going to be talking about gun control, gun bans, guns, and school shootings, and all this fun stuff today on episode 192. Uh, we got to, of course, balance the happy pappy of episode 191, celebrating 3 years of BPA, with doom and gloom. So, Dr. Verga, welcome back to Backpacking America. I wish it was under better circumstances, but nevertheless, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we actually, me and you, we were going back and forth a little bit about the gun conversation. And I think both of us. I mean, everyone knows that definitely I'm against banning guns, but even you said that you're not in favor of banning guns, but rather gun control. I guess my first question to you is: do you think this is a gun issue, or do you think this is a social alienation issue caused by capitalism?
I think it's multi-leveled.
Right.
It's so easy just to nail it down on one thing, but it's not. It's not one thing. It's not just social alienation, and it's more than guns. But the thing is, you have these individuals that are doing these horrible things, who have many problems. Do you really want to give them an extra tool in their toolbox?
Right.
So that's the whole argument right there. Social alienation issue with a disposable society and one that we live in, and even with a strong capitalist society as well. You have that in other countries, and those countries are not doing mass shootings like us. This has become actually a deranged way of saying American exceptionalism. I don't even know. I don't even know what to. I don't even know what to put it. No country is having these problems. Like mass shootings do happen, but not in this frequency, not at this level. So that's just to start it.
Maybe it's not even well, the thing is too is that they do have like mass stabbings. I know that's an issue, and they do have bombings. I think that the thing that they have there, though, is they have less people. They still have, to a degree, psychiatric institutions in other countries. They have less privacy laws. They have more social services. They have government health care. Um, they have more societal security. And I feel like that is. They also don't have people going to war every single year all around the world. So
No, yeah,
we have a lot of issues in that our facilities and institutions are lacking, on top of the capitalist decay of community, family, institutions. Uh, and we also do have, the thing is too, now I'd like to look at Switzerland. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to sound that ironic, but Switzerland. They're the second most heavily armed nation in the world, and they don't have mass shooting events like this, and that's because it's the Swiss state, and the trains run on time, and the healthcare is good, and the money's flowing. Here in America, things are a lot more individualistic, to the sense that it's like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and you could do whatever you need. But for a lot of people, for a lot of people, they're able to do that. For a lot of other people, they're not able to do that, and they degenerate and devolve when they're presented with that, and they need more help. So I feel like the issue here is that, one, we don't live in a socialist command economy. I think that's the primary way out of this. Social democracy is appealing, but it only lasts so long before it decays. Um, Once you have a socialist command economy, you need to. I personally think that we should get rid of Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and just make it the American Pioneer Program, and just make all these kids join in school, teach them how to get together, collaborate with each other, um, hold accountability for each other, build community projects with each other after school. It also provides a way for like teachers and community members that keep an eye on people that are kind of deranged, and give them the help and support they need, and isolate them before it gets to the point where, not isolate them in a negative way, but just be like, that kid might shoot up the school. We should be extra careful with him. You know what I mean? There,
Of course. I just want to jump in there real
yeah,
quick.
yeah.
A little while ago, what you said. First of all, I'm digressing a little bit, but a democracy and socialist society can live in the same realm.
Yeah.
It's not either or. I just want to make that clear.
Did I say
You
that?
can have free elections. You said socialist versus versus a democratic.
Oh, social
A democracy.
democracy. Social democracy.
Yeah, social democracy can exist. Socialism and democracy, they can live in the same realm. It's not either or. We're talking like a capitalism versus socialism argument on that note. And yeah, there's a lot of benefits to socialism, of course.
Oh, and
Especially with the mental health
I'd like to
system. Of course,
clarify.
of course.
I'd like to clarify. No, with social democracy, I mean like the welfare state, like the European welfare state. That's what I
Oh,
mean by
okay.
social democracy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like capitalism with like extra protections. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was talking about. Socialism, of course, is democratic. It's one of the key
Hmm.
tenets of the Communist Party. But um, I, I didn't want to interrupt you more. I just wanted to clear that up.
No, of course, of course, of course. Yeah, so that's what I just wanted to clear up there. But when we talk about Switzerland, once again, you're talking about a country like you said before. It's an eighth of the size of United States in population. And also, I believe we discussed this with Nick prior, who's by the way a great person to have this discussion with as well. He we're like 50 different countries. What we have here does not apply over there. And we have the concept of federalism, which is state and federal. So you have two layers of government. When you got Switzerland and all these other countries, they're more unified on that. They're
Mm.
more unified on their guiding ideas. They're more unified on a universal healthcare system. When you have a universal healthcare coverage, it just doesn't mean that it's free healthcare. It means it's universal across the board, so every state is equal, and that's a big issue in itself in America. So some states were able to roll out the Affordable Care Act with speed and efficiency. Some states were able to put those exchanges right up and insure all their people. And some states are still struggling to do that all these years later.
Mm.
So it's not just about like once again, universal health care coverage is something. It's a human rights issue. It's beyond it's beyond like an argument for too much government, less government. No, it's an argument that this is human rights. That's the bare minimum. Everyone has the right to adequate health care. It's not it's nothing else to it. But once again, rolling something out like that in such a very complicated system of like almost 50 different countries, it's going to be tough because you got to get every country on the same page. Like the Constitution is the set of guiding ideas. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
set of guiding, yeah, it's a set of guiding ideas that all 50 states have to agree on. How they roll it out is a different story, and that's the problem. We don't have clarity on how to roll it out, and we're not unified on rolling it out.
And I
We're
don't
not
think we're
unified
ever
on
going to
anything.
be. I don't think we're ever going
No,
to
but
be.
that's a problem, and especially when it comes to these debates right here about these mass shootings. This is where it hurts the most because this is where how fractured we really are. Like right now in the Senate, they're arguing over universal background checks, universal background checks to buy a gun. This should be a no-brainer. Closing the gun show loophole to buy a gun. This should be a no-brainer. Everyone should be on board on this one. Everyone. No one should be sitting there saying, no, they disagree with that. Who the hell disagrees with that? But guess what? Apparently we're so divided that people are disagreeing with that. This is stuff that should be a no-brainer. This is a ban on guns. This is a way to prevent freezies from getting guns that are going to do this horrible
Yeah, but the
things.
thing is, the guy that did the recent mass shooting, he bought two of those guns legally from a gun store. So, and he had to
Yeah,
go through the background check, and it still didn't work.
uh,
And the
Texas, it
Buffalo
didn't work.
shooter,
Yeah, but
and the
the
Buffalo
Buffalo
shooter,
shooter.
he qualified for everything on the red flag law, and it didn't get triggered. His guns didn't get taken. So,
Out there. Hello.
yeah, are you there? Can you hear me?
I hear you. Yeah, but that's the thing. The red flag law needs to be tightened up on that. He should have never bought a gun if he was in a mental health facility
Well,
at one time.
well, yeah, but the thing is, in the like, I've read the red flag law. Like, if you are involuntarily institutionalized, you are automatically flagged. Why wasn't this guy flagged and his guns taken? Like, it's not even a tightening of the law; it's the fact the law wasn't enforced.
That's a problem. That's a
It
problem.
is.
To make the law enforceable is you have to tighten the law, essentially. I don't know the whole thing about that, but I do know he was getting mental health, and he was in a mental health facility, and he was able to buy a gun.
And then
That's a
this
problem.
and then this other guy was able to buy two guns. And the thing is too, like a lot of these like gun store clerks, like I talk to them and like cuz I'm a hunter, I'm a sports shooter and I talked to them, they're like, "Yeah, we had one guy he was telling me cuz this is during the pandemic." And he was saying, "Yeah, I had to turn away this one guy cuz he's like, "Yeah, how fast can I load this gun and how fast can I fire it into a group of people?" Like I swear to God, like told the guy. And he's like, I'm calling the police. And it really at the end of the day, like it's up to the seller, whoever sells the gun. Like that's the first line of defense, to check a guy out. I mean, and if you just look at the guys that do these things, they look mentally ill. Like you should be able to tell that a mile away that this person is crazy.
Yeah, no, you should definitely tell from a mile away that they're not packing a full deck. That the French fry short of a Happy Meal, to say the least. Um, you know, that's a fact. But that being said, apparently this line of defense with the gun store owners or the gun vendors is not working, and it has to be more aggressive. We only have 22 states that require full background checks on everything. 22 states. 22 states
What do you mean
require
by
full
full?
background checks.
What do you mean by full background checks?
Like you have to have a background check within the state, not counting the federal one, and there's no gun show loopholes. So you have to have a background check.
Mm,
So there's only 22 states. There's 50 freaking states, man. There's
right.
only 22 that require this. And there's only a handful of states that actually require a special permit for a pistol. Only a handful. So
Well, pistols aren't
this
even
is,
really the main culprit of this. You know what I mean? Like
I don't
for
know, man. I think, well, not so much for these big school shootings, but if you break it down, most of the people dying in shootings are not from rifles; they're from handguns. And
and they get them
people getting
illegally.
handguns. Yeah, yeah, they do. But do they get them illegally? Because you can go to certain states and drive them right back. You can go to a gun show and you can buy a gun there. You can buy a handgun there, and it can be a private sale technically. And you can drive a whole shitload of those guns back to New York, and you can double your money by selling them on the street. This is what people do, and this is a really big problem. This is a huge problem. This is why we got close to 400 million guns in America, and we can't even tell you who freaking owns them. That's a problem. That's a big, big problem. Now, look, I'm not saying like we should take away guns. I'm not saying that. But we should have an idea who has them. That's it. And we should have an idea on who should not have them. Like when you go to a gun show and you're like, hey, let me get a bunch of guns and load up and drive to the inner city to sell them, that's a problem. Like everyone talks about Illinois, Chicago, they call it Chirac, because all the shooting.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when they're calling it Chirac, Chirac, because it's like Chi-Town, et cetera, et cetera. When they're calling it like that, everyone's going, "Oh, look, gun laws don't work in Illinois," and they got some of the strongest gun laws. They don't work because the suburbs of Chicago is technically Indiana, and Indiana, hell, everyone can have a gun. You can have a gun. It's like Oprah giving cars away on her show. You get a car, except Indiana, you get a gun, you get a gun. So you can drive up to Indiana, enjoy their gun shows, load up with guns, drive 30 plus minutes into the south side of Chicago and sell them. That's a problem. That's a problem. When they had all these gun war shootings on the Bloomberg started suing states that had gun show loopholes. He started suing the hell out of these states. And you know something? I don't know if it worked fully, but it made people focus and divide and give them some, split their attention on the problem. You know, like the shooting that happened up in I think it's Morningstar Heights of the two police officers. That guy bought his gun somewhere in the South. He didn't buy it in freaking New York when he shot those two police officers. You know, so that's just some of the examples. And that guy was freaking being watched by freaking New York officials because of his freaking rhetoric that he was saying how he wanted to shoot people. You know, but he was able to go to another state, buy a gun legally, come up here and shoot two cops. You know,
Right.
even the guy that was on the subway, he bought his gun in PA. Like, come on, man. You know, this is a problem. We have to be unified on our background checks. That's a big freaking problem. And once again, remember I was discussing about, giving the example about the healthcare system about not being unified, but having these great guiding ideas. That we're never going to be unified, but we got to figure something out. We have to actually come up with something to be unified. Hell, we were unified as a country to come up with the idea that drinking age should be 21. We were unified as a
Well, we
country
weren't
to say we should make.
unified on it. It was more like
Well, we're
the president at the time said, if you don't do this, we're cutting your highway funding.
Well, guess what? There was not much resistance on that. You know, there was not much resistance. It wasn't an argument about big government and small government. The state said, okay. Even like when you talk about the amendment that freaking said 18-year-olds can vote, there was no argument between Republicans and Democrats on why they should not do that and why they should do that. Everyone said, okay. There's things that states can become unified on. And universal background checks should be one of those things. So, this is the paradox we're in. And it's like we're so polarized. We really are. We're so polarized. Did you hear that representative from that town in Texas? I forgot his name. His name escapes me. They're asking him about the shooting. He's like, yeah, what we got to do is make single entrance schools now. Single entrance schools. So kids walk in one entrance and they walk out the same entrance. That is the dumbest freaking idea I ever heard of yet. So there's a fire, kids walk in one entrance and they leave the next entrance. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
Like
that's
really?
stupid.
That is stupid. It's beyond stupid.
Well,
Everyone wants
so
to listen. Einstein's argument of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. Look, we didn't try the universal background checks. We didn't try freaking doing universal red flag laws. Screw it. Let's give it a shot. No one's banning guns. You can still have your freaking guns. Just let's try some of these little laws to see if they work.
yeah, but the red flag law, it still didn't stop the Buffalo Kid. It just wasn't enforced. At the end of the day, it's enforceability, and it's not that they're very broad in scope. The red flag laws are very broad, and the police still didn't do their job. It comes down to like that, and I don't know. Like my real question is, we've had guns since our inception as a nation. The whole idea of a citizen military has been ingrained in our fiber. Why is this an issue? When did this started becoming an issue in 1999 with Columbine? Maybe it started a little
No,
earlier.
no, 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 no. It started a lot earlier. You had the Texas college shooting when the guy went up to the bell tower in the 60s, and I forgot the guy's name, and started shooting the students. That happened. You always had these incidents. Not as often though. It's becoming worse. So I will say that much.
So
But yeah,
what's making it
what's
worse?
making it? I don't honestly. I can't even tell you. I wish I knew that. Like everyone got theories, and some theories are stupid. Some theories make sense.
Because
So
I'm gonna be
I really.
honest, we're never gonna not have another mass shooting. Like even if we get to the '60s level where it's like once every 10 years, the thing is that like we're just gonna have shootings. That happens in any
Well, yeah,
society. But how do we
yeah,
like
but you
get back
forget
to
this.
the lack of frequency? That's what I want to know.
I don't. I'd like to know how Long Island got back to the lack of frequency on school shootings. To be honest, because in the '60s they had quite a few. They had one
Really?
in Bayshore. They had one in East Islip. They had quite a few. They had a few in Nassau County. I want to know how Long Island freaking with at least one mass shooting in a school through the majority of the '60s kind of ceased it. I want to know how they did it. I don't know. I don't know. It's like I really don't know. I don't know how to get back to that
Because if you think
low
about it,
frequency.
when we talked about alienation, like that's like the prime complaint of a lot of people living here. Yet it hasn't really, knock on wood, you know what I mean? Hasn't happened here, you know?
Well, once again, we should definitely help people that feel alienated. We should care. We should
Yeah.
be a society that gives a shit about people. That's a fact. That shouldn't even be an argument. But unfortunately, once again, we say we talk a good game, but don't do nothing on that note. But, alienation is just part of it. Like you've got other societies that have people alienated that don't shoot things up.
Right.
So, I'm not saying we should ignore people feeling alienated. No, no, we should definitely freaking show more compassion as a society, be more inclusive. I'm all about that. I grew up feeling pretty alienated myself. And I was
Right.
going through quite a few struggles. Not to the level of crazy, but depression. I definitely felt depressed. So yeah, and people did reach out to me, and it helped me out. It made me stronger. It made me who I am today, probably. But that being said, yeah, I'm not saying don't reach out to people that feel alienated. No, we definitely should. But it's more than that. It's a lot more than that. Like the Columbine people, yeah, obviously, they felt alienated. They said that, at least the Parkland person said that too. Um, you know, uh, and I'm sure many more. But that's not all the components. Even raising the age to buy a gun idea. Look how many of these people were 18 years old and they bought guns. The Columbine were 18. This guy over in Texas was 18. The Buffalo people were 18. So, maybe we should raise the age as well. There's so many things to do to work this out on trying to keep guns out of nutcases. And when we talk about guns, too, it's really important to realize this. Um, the second word in the Second Amendment is regulate.
Right.
Well-regulated militia, and then you got a comma, right? And then
Right.
you got another comma that follows right not to infringe the right to bear arms. So when you have all those commas in one singular sentence with the second word regulate, you're connecting the main idea. So it doesn't say the Second Amendment is absolute. Just like it doesn't say having a well-organized militia is absolute. So that's something to take into account. When James Madison wrote that amendment, I'm pretty sure he understood that it's not absolute. People are defining it as absolute. And that's one thing we got to start looking at right there. The guiding ideas of our Constitution that every state supposedly is supposed to agree with, we have to be unified on what that amendment means.
Right.
And that's a big problem.
I,
So,
I, I personally, I don't know. I don't think raising the age is going to solve the problem because Adam Lanza was like 27 or something like that. And the guy that
yeah,
did
but
the subway thing.
what would have solved the problem? The red flag laws, because Adam Lanza, I don't even want to say that guy's name, the Newtown incident. I refuse to say that guy's name because when we say that name, you're kind of like popularizing him and giving him his 15 minutes of fame. No, his name is dead, just like him. So let's not even say Adam Lanza. His soul was dead when he did such a horrible thing. So I don't even want to speak his name. But that lowlife in Newtown, when he did that horrendous thing, his father called the local authorities saying that his son has problems and his guns in the house. His half-witted mother bought him guns, despite his father's concern. Police were notified. A red flag law would have took the weapons out of that lowlife's hand.
Right. And
It
that,
would have took the weapons out.
yeah, it might have done the job or it might not have done the job. I mean, we don't we don't really know. I'd like to know the success rate of it in New York because it obviously failed in Buffalo. So like, what's the success rate? Because there had to be other
Well,
times that it was utilized,
Well,
right?
they're not going to. Well, if it's work, yeah, no. If something's working right, you're not going to know the success rate because everyone expects it to work right. You'll only know the success rate when it works, when it's not working.
Right.
That's the whole thing, because then you'll start measuring it. So maybe it did prevent a lot of stuff. And you know something? It does fall on law enforcement. This is law enforcement that dropped the ball on this. I agree with you. And you know something? Maybe we got to tweak that law to make it more clear and concise. And maybe we got to hold law enforcement accountable for not freaking, carrying out the idea of serving the public on carrying out a law such as the red flag laws. So the law probably needs to be tweaked, but the idea of taking away someone's guns that's mentally in distress or that's a danger to himself or others, that's a great idea. That really is. That's an idea we should do. That's not even something we should be debating.
My only concerns with the red flag laws are, we live in a polarized climate, and we see how the words domestic terrorists are used quite liberally, or fascist is used quite liberally. So the red flag law would have to be very clear and concise, but then it's like, say it says we bar people with mental illnesses from owning guns. What type of mental illnesses? Because there's a lot of people that have anxiety. Is anxiety one of those things we put is a barring
No.
factor?
Well,
So these are things.
that's why you have people at the table, man, to discuss this. Yeah, but here's another thing. When you write a law, you ever heard the term collective commitment?
No.
So when you come up with a law, a rule, you come up with collective commitment. And let me explain. I'm going to give you a fun example of this. When I teach my class in Suffolk Community College and John Jay, in those two different schools, I surprise the students when we talk about the deadlines for tests and deadlines for papers. I'm like, hey guys, when do you want the paper due? They're like, excuse me? I'm like, when do you want the paper due? Give me a deadline and let's vote on it. That's collective commitment. And you know something? I never have a problem of getting my papers on time after doing that because they all agreed on when they want that paper due. And when we talk about tests, I'm like, hey guys, let's write the tests. You guys write the test. I'm going to be on my phone right here, checking my Facebook status. You guys write the test collectively as a class. And I look at it, and if it's good, it's good. Guess what? No one on my tests, if they attended that class to write the test, no one gets lower than a 90. Why? It's collective commitment. Everyone had a shared commitment on writing that test and had a shared vision on what answers they want on that test. I know it sounds ridiculous, but when you have a shared vision and a shared effort, people will comply.
Well,
So
that's what
when
we
you
need to
write a
teach.
law, but that's a problem. We forgot that
We did. I don't want
because
to distract from your point, though.
yeah. But the point is this: that when you make a law, you have to have all the stakeholders at the table. You follow what I'm saying? You have to
Yeah.
have all the stakeholders at the table. You need your mental health advocates at the table. You need your civil liberties union at the table. Hell, you need your gun clubs at the table. You need your sports clubs at the table when you're making these gun laws. You need everyone to have a say and everyone to do a little horse trading to get that freaking unified vision. Is
Right.
everyone going to walk away happy? No. Is everyone going to feel like they had a say? Yeah. And that's the thing, when you try to silence someone and don't give them a say in the process, it's going to have pushback.
Yeah.
And in New York, when they came up with the SAFE Act, red flag laws, and everything else, they shut those doors and passed that bill and wrote it at like freaking 2 in the morning when no one was there.
And upstate
That's
is
un-American.
upstate is pissed off
Upset.
about that too.
And they should be,
Yeah.
because a gun in New York City does not apply to the same person that has a gun in freaking the Adirondacks. A
Yeah.
gun in the Adirondacks in the freaking backwoods up there is freaking a tool, not a weapon of freaking mass destruction. It's a damn tool. There's people that live off the fat of land in New York. You didn't put them in the equation when you wrote these laws. You totally forgot about them. All
And what
those
about
hunting
and
clubs, nah.
even in the city? What about the people in the city that want a gun for self-defense? They were left out of it.
Well, the people in the city, a lot of the people in the city had the general. You had way more representation of people in the city, freaking writing those laws than anyone upstate. There was no
Oh.
one upstate behind those closed doors. It was all freaking state assembly people in the city, or Western Nassau County,
Oh
or
wow.
a little bit of Yonkers. Yeah,
That's
I didn't.
ridiculous.
well, yeah, there was no one. It's like New York State ended at Yonkers, when they wrote that law. It's like you can't do that. You can't do that. You kept those people isolated. Maybe if you brought them to the table and came up with a local ordinance for New York City, that would have been a great compromise. But no, you didn't do that. So of course there's pushback. Of course people are pissed off. Come on. Like, does it really make sense to have a felony charge for a freaking bayonet on a gun? Like,
No,
what logic is that?
I own a rifle that's older than my grandmother. I own a Mosin Nagant, and I have the original bayonet, and I can't even use it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And the
Because how
thing
many people
is,
got bayoneted to death?
yeah, exactly. And the thing is, the bayonet's necessary because it's a counterbalance weight, so all my shots veer to the right. So it's like you're making me not able to use the gun as it's intended.
No, yeah, exactly. And people that buy that's a great gun, by the way. Love that gun. I
It's
used to
so
have.
fun.
I used to play with one with a hoe and sickle on it and everything. It just like was a piece of history in your hands. It was exhilarating to say the least.
Yeah,
But that
absolutely.
being said, yeah. But that being said, with with the bayonet thing, it's just stupid. It's beyond stupid. You damn well know people that wrote those laws did not shoot a gun before, own a gun before, or know someone that shot a gun. That's a problem. And maybe those laws would be better and more, and people will comply by them better if someone that owned guns, collected guns, sportsmen, or even just locals that need guns were at the table to help write those laws. It's stupid things like that piss people off.
And
This is what turns people against the idea of gun control.
that's why I'm always wary about it because it's kind of like, I know that my say is not going to be valued and it's going to be people that are completely anti-gun that are going to be valued. And like I would be fine I'm fine with like background checks. It's like, okay, you could see if I'm a fucking criminal or not. Like go ahead. Or you could see like if I'm mentally ill or not. Whatever, fine. It's just like I would like it if the law that was defined was equally decided upon and wasn't tyrannical yet wasn't completely ignorant of the situation either. And that's why I'm just kind of like whenever people bring up like gun, I get kind of upset because it's like, this has been a big part of my life and part of a culture of mine because I'm come from a hunting family and I think I started shooting at 9. You know what I mean? So like it's
Yeah,
something like when we would go upstate, you know what I mean? And that's just what I would do. And for me, it's like, well, why wouldn't everyone have a gun? Because it's kind of like I'm a law abiding citizen that's sane, and I see stuff like this, so I'm just like, okay, well, the problem's not the gun. To me personally, it's not. The problem is the illness and how frequent it is, and why are so many people getting ill? Because the thing is, we could regulate the shit out of guns, but at the end of the day, if you got a mentally ill kid and you're not mentally ill and you own guns and he gets access to it, it's clipped. Or, he could go buy one of those illegal guns. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing stopping that kid from like if we did pass these universal background checks and close the gun show loophole, then maybe it would reduce the amount of illegal guns. Maybe. But we still had the thing is too, we got fentanyl, we got, opioids coming in, and that's all, illegal as fuck. And all 50 states are in agreement that those are illegal as fuck, yet it's the most prevalent drug on Long Island. Heroin's one of the second most prevalent drugs on Long Island, I think, if you're not counting
yeah.
marijuana, that is.
No, it is.
It is.
It is. Unfortunately,
And you see,
and once the drug, but when you talk about the fentanyl stuff, that listen, that was horrible. It is horrible. I have quite a few friends that died from that stuff.
oh,
If you
I'm
look at my
sorry.
high school graduating class, no, it sucks, but it's what it is. If you look at my high school graduating class, so many people I know that died of that, man. It's weird. It's awkward. I was going through the yearbook with my daughter. I'm like, yeah, he's dead, she's dead, he's dead, she's dead. I was saying that in my head, and obviously when you're talking to a 7-year-old, you're like, oh, he went to God, she went to God. So
Right.
it's a little different, but yeah, I agree, but the fentanyl thing, just like everything else, is multi-layered. It was
Right.
people that went doctor shopping. They got it from a legal freaking source. They got it from your family doctor that you grew up with that became a damn drug dealer, and people did not want to punish a doctor like you punish a freaking street pharmacist slash drug dealer, and that's the problem. With a gun, on the other hand, this is a different situation. I beg to differ on that. We can do this. Yeah, we do some amazing things as a country sometimes, you know, and there's a lot of things that we do which are amazing, and this could be something we can overcome here. Um, you know, it's all about the collective commitment again. And look, I just want to bring it to your point on this about gun control and tyranny. I'm going to stir the pot a little bit. You know, you know who started the first the gun laws
Reagan.
in the whole country? Ronald Reagan, yeah, because
Yeah.
he wanted the Black Panthers not to have guns,
Yep.
and he was a right wing Republican. So go figure, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah,
And
people
Trump
forget that.
banned bump stocks. We got to remember that too.
Yep, yep. Trump banned bump stocks, so it's not foreign. Once again, I disagree with Reagan's method
Oh
on
God,
banning
yes.
guns. Yeah, of course, I ban. Yeah, taking away from black people was the objective. That's wrong on so many levels. You know, obviously, I don't like to say this too much either, but I do support Trump's ban on bump stocks. Uh, so, you know, I actually support that. You know, that's probably the only thing. I was like, okay, thank you for coming up with one thing at least.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like
The bump
outside
stocks
of him
seem
saying
stupid.
Tuesday,
Like what?
it is stupid.
Like you lose control of the gun. Like there's no point to even why? Like what?
Well, you're supposed to lose control apparently, and that's the problem. You know, and that's why that guy in that concert, that lowlife in Las Vegas at that concert opened up. He had a bump stock, you know.
Right.
He also banned trigger grinders, which are kind of the same thing. I don't know why. If you're a gun collector, I don't know why you ever want to freaking do that. It messes up everything on the trigger mechanism. But whatever. That's banned too. But you know, now we got ghost guns to worry about. You know, the 3D printed guns. You know, guns that you can buy and manufacture yourself. Um, but that being said, you know, we have to get a hold on who the hell's getting these guns. You know, we got to limit the access of who gets these guns. You know, we got 400 million guns in America right now. That's a lot of freaking guns. Hell, we only got 390 million people in America. You know, that's more guns than people. So, you know, and when you talk about Switzerland does not have like AR-15s either. You know, they got mainly bolt action guns. So, you know, the culture of a gun is a lot different in Switzerland. You know, once again, I'm not putting anyone down that like semi-automatics. I'm not, you know, but I'm just trying to make a point that the culture is different in Switzerland. So that's it with that. But yeah, it's and Hella versus DC. That was the case that left it up to the states to regulate guns. You know, who gets guns and stuff like that. You know, that ruling, that Supreme Court ruling, pretty much set the standard that you know gun ownership is not an absolute right. So even a right wing leaning Supreme Court agreed with this prior. So I don't know what the disconnect is. It is crazy.
Mine's more. I'm more rooted in the Marxist sense, where Marx said, under no pretext should arms or ammunition be surrendered. So to me, like I'm coming from the Marxist sense of it, and also from just like the very traditional Second Amendment stance of it. But like I'm not really impressed by what the right wing says. Like when they just go back and forth on it, because it's like they're politicians at the end of the day.
No, of course. And you know, when you talk about Marx and guns, you also got to talk about this. What did Frederick Douglass say? What boxes does freedom lie in? What three boxes of freedom? Frederick Douglass said, freedom lies in the jury box, the vote in the ballot box, and the cartridge box. So, that's Frederick Douglass saying that. So, Marx had a lot of, there's a lot of truth in that. And I agree, I'm not saying ban guns, and
I
I
know you're
understand
not
we should
either.
be skeptical. Yeah.
I don't
We
want
should be
crazy.
skeptical.
I don't want crazies to get guns either. It's just a lot of like the terminology. Like it's like, okay, like right now things are legal, but then like tomorrow they may not be. So how does that affect me? Now I own a Mosin. You know what I mean? So I'm probably, no matter what the law is, you know what I'm saying? I just don't want a China level of gun ownership where it's like, yeah, you can own a gun, but you have to keep it at the gun range in your assigned locker, locked away from your house.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that. I'm fine with, a registry that's like, okay, this person's a schizophrenic. He probably can't have a gun. That makes sense. I don't want a schizo
Yeah.
with a gun. And that I'm fine with. And, you make a good point for red flag laws. But I don't want a red flag law where it's like, I say something like, oh, God, I want to kill myself today, LOL, on Facebook. And then I get red flag lawed and I lose my guns because I made a satire on Facebook. It's just there's a
Well,
lot of.
that goes, of course. But that goes back to what I said. You have to have people at the table when they write these laws. You can't isolate gun owners. You have to be at the table too. Collective commitment, like I said, shared vision.
And I agree. I
you know,
agree. But under this government and the way things are now, we're not going to get that. We're going to get a half measure. And Cathy Hokel said she's going to make a 10-point plan to regulate guns or something like that. With next week, and I'm just like, oh great, what's that going to be? Because it's
yeah.
gonna be it's gonna screw everyone, and it's gonna ruin it for people that are completely legal and within sane reasoning. That now we're not gonna be at the table. In a democracy, we'd all come to the table and be like, all right, guys, this is a tragedy. What the hell do we do? And then we'd all kind of come together. Like me, I'm very skeptical of gun control. But if me and you sat down and we put down things on paper, we walk away somewhat satisfied because we at least got one thing we wanted. With Cathy Hokel or with the Biden administration or whoever the hell is going to be writing it for him, since he's going to be getting ice cream during that period, I it's not we're not going to be included in that, no matter how democratic or how anti-democratic you are. If you're not in that cabinet, you're not deciding it. And
I
that's
will
what
say this
scares
about
me.
Kathy Hokel. No, of course. I will say this about Kathy Hokel. Let's be cautiously pessimistic because she is from upstate.
That is
She
true.
is from God's country. You know, that's let's see, before we just, I'm not saying she's great. I'm not a fan, but let's just wait and see.
The
Let's see
thing
what
is,
the.
though, is that the shooting occurred in her hometown, so she might not be. She might be a little more pissed off than if it happened in Unadilla, let's say.
Okay, yeah. I'm sure she'll be more pissed off. But once again, she represented a big constituent
Mm.
that was very Republican, that had a lot of guns for a very long time. So she does. And once again, she could do an about face and say "fuck them." I'm not saying that does not happen.
Right.
That can happen, but for a very long time, she got those people to vote for her on something. So let's just hold our breath there. As for Joey over there in the White House, I don't know. I don't know because he did like help co-sponsor the assault weapons ban. So I don't think that's something he's going to flip flop on. I think he's always been kind of passionate on banning assault weapons. So Biden, I think, is a different story.
He
But he's
is.
not going to get no damn assault weapons ban passed. No freaking way, man.
He's not going to
But
do
the thing
anything
about
about
Biden,
abortion.
no, he's not. Well, no, there's nothing he can do about abortion if the Supreme Court strikes it down. There's not a single thing he can do. But for guns, the Supreme Court already set the limits on what you can do. So you can write a law on that. You can't do a law if they got rid of Roe versus Wade. There's no law to do on that. It's up to the states. The end. Biden can just sit there and go, damn. I will say this about Biden though. Once again, I'm not saying I like the guy a lot, but I am saying I like him a hell of a lot more than Donald Duck, which doesn't really say much. Doesn't say much at all. But that being said, he horse trades. And I think that's good. When Biden came in, what did he say? I want to get Republicans to do stuff with us. Like the first thing he got passed was the freaking infrastructure bill. Republicans voted for that, quite a few. It was filibuster proof. That's great. Maybe we can get that way again on universal background checks. You have quite a few Republicans that are willing to sit there in the room. Toomey in Pennsylvania said he was for universal background checks. Mitt Romney expressed interest on that. You do have Republicans that are not crazy. You do have Republicans that are willing to sit down and talk. So maybe Biden, who's 40 something years in the Senate, maybe he has his finger on the pulse on something. Maybe he can get people to vote. Like I'll tell you one thing: Chuck Schumer will not get freaking no gun control law passed.
No,
Definitely not.
no.
It's not happening, and definitely not Pelosi. That's just not freaking happening. That's just that's a freaking long shot. But we make fun of Joe Biden because he probably is eating ice cream as we're talking, and or playing with the ball or whatever he's doing. But the thing is, he has a long track record of horse trading, and that's good. Horse trading is a freaking that's a trade we need. You want to get freaking some measures in? That's good. Horse trading is not bad. Horse trading is collective commitment. It's giving a little and taking a little. And, if you get both sides doing that, that's a shared commitment, shared vision we need.
Right. And, that's the thing, too, that there does need to be bipartisanship on it. And he did unify us on the infrastructure bill. You are absolutely right. And that, when people say Biden did nothing for us, and I'm like, well, he did a few good things. I mean, every president does a few good things. It just so happens that Biden happens to do a little bit more of things that I like. If only he would have some sensible energy policy, I'd be even more happy with him. But
well, the Build Back America plan, that was actually not a bad bill. I'm the person that actually reads the legislation. I'm probably the only person that read the Affordable Health Care Act, which is like 900 pages.
I wish I
read
read
the Frank
bills.
Dodd Act. Let me tell you, man, the freaking Affordable Health Care Act is trying to swallow sand. Reading that, but it's very redundant. But I will say this though, it's every time there's a bill out there, I'll read it or do my best to get through most of it at least. And because I have to know what I'm against.
Yes,
or I have to know what I'm supporting. Yeah, you can't be against something if you don't know what you're against. That's my whole argument, man. The Frank Dodd Act was great. That was a crown jewel for Obama's administration. That was by far amazing. So, that freaking made it possible that freaking it gave a statute of limitations on so many things from credit card debt and stuff, and gave so much rights to the consumer.
Wow.
That's by far one of the most underrated bills. Even the Affordable Health Care Act. So the whole thing is, that being said, I have to read it to know what I'm against or for. I don't know anyone that actually has a law written right now that's in the works. So I can't tell you what really I'm against or for, because Chuck Schumer talking about this law, talking about background checks, he has nothing written down. There's not a single thing written down. This is just air. He's saying, well, we're not I'm going to call a vote, but we don't have the votes.
What it is too is that I feel like this might be the straw that broke the camel's back, where there's going to be more action done, but at the same time, I feel like it's still going to be hot air.
I don't know, man. More action, Newtown was freaking 20-something freaking first graders. I thought that was the freaking straw that broke the camel's back. Obama came on TV crying about it, and I was almost crying about it. Hell, when I send my kids to school, I hug them extra freaking tighter now. What is the straw that breaks the camel's back, man? If it's not freaking first graders or fourth graders, I don't know what it is anymore.
I feel like, well, remember, we're dealing with a capitalist country, too. These are working class kids dying. It's not their kids.
Yeah, no, well, here's the thing. Remember the freaking Capitol shooting when freaking that congressman was playing baseball and someone did a shooting spree?
Yeah.
It actually did happen to them. And that guy still voted against gun control measures, that guy.
That's actually
man, you shot multiple. Yeah, I ain't going to lie. I'm like, well, at least you're decisive. You don't give a fuck about yourself, too. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. You're equally stupid. That's awesome, man.
I mean, well, maybe that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you remember that, right? The guy came in while they're playing the game, and he freaking like he shot it up, and like he got shot multiple times, and it's like, okay, so we got someone that's going to support gun control, and he was like, no, I'm not supporting gun control.
I wonder what his reasoning
So
was for it. Do you think it was maybe like because he believes in watering the tree of liberty or something, and he thought he was a tyrant, so he was just like, I respect the hustle, and just. Do you think that's what it was?
no, 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 no. I think his whole argument was that the NRA donates a lot to my campaign.
Uh,
That's that no, but seriously, that's what it is. That's his whole argument. I get this job that's 176,000 a year. I barely freaking work. And that being said, I want to keep this job of barely working and have a pension after like 3 terms, which is 6 years for life. So yeah, that's why I gotta freaking just take a few bullets here and there.
Holy.
That's what I think it is. That's what I think it is. Because being a congressman is great, man. Like seriously, it has to be one of the best jobs in the world. Because when I was younger, there's 2 things I wanted to do. My dream job. I wanted to be a pirate or a congressman. One of those 2.
They're both the
You
same.
know, they are the same. You're plundering. Except the pirate's honest about what he does. So
Yeah.
that's.
If I was
The pirate's like, I'm gonna.
like, how do you take bribes? How do you take money as a cut? Like, if someone came into my office and was like, "Yo, I'll give you $10 million to fight for
But
abortion," I'd be like, and I
well,
love abortion.
listen, man, listen. It's not bribes if it's legal. Do you understand? It's not bribes if it's legal. If it's a CPAC, like remember, if you have a tax ID number, you have feelings. You're a person. So,
Oh, that's right.
like that. Yeah. Corporations are people too. Remember, you can't
Citizens
be biased
United.
against corporations. Yeah. If you don't like corporations, that makes you bigoted against corporations. Corporations is a whole new race of people now, apparently, after that Supreme Court case.
That feel when Marxists are considered racist because they don't like corporations.
Oh my God, you're such a bigot.
Like remember back in the good old days when everyone was like, we should overturn Citizen United, Patriot Act 2. You remember the
Yeah,
good
and
old
there was
days of
like freaking
leftism?
yeah. And John McCain was out there on the forefront saying Citizens United was bad. Obama said it. Everyone said it. I remember when John McCain and Obama were running against each other, and they asked them about it, and they both said, yes, we both think that's bad. I'm like, damn, that's awesome.
And it
And
happened anyway.
Supreme Court, yeah, well, Supreme Court said it was okay. That was the problem.
Jesus
So
Christ.
the Supreme Court has a lot of power, man. When they said it's perfectly fine, a tax ID number is equivalent to a person. Oh, that, especially on donations, that was gangster. Like now it's not bribery, now it's legal.
You
So
see,
yeah, so that means
that's why I think we need
continue.
to
Sorry,
elect judges. You
what were
there?
you saying? Sorry about
No,
that.
that's why I
Yeah, I'm
think we
here.
should elect judges. We should elect the Supreme Court judges because that's insane.
Yeah, we should. But at the same time, if we did elect Supreme Court judges, do you think that'd be a better option with the freaking Electoral College process and everything we have now? Like I know on popular vote, it sounds great because New York and California will always win on who the judge is, but you damn well know it'll be a little fuckery.
Oh, of course.
So, yeah. But yeah, I don't have a solution on that one either. I can just tell you the problem with that. But yeah, man, like we're in a very interesting society, man. Remember the good old days like Mitt Romney during the Obama campaign, when they when the guy said, he's like, what about freaking corporations donating money? And Mitt Romney looked at that camera with confidence, knowing that he's like the CEO of Bain Capital, and said, corporations are people too. And he said it so decisively and so firm. And then he didn't get elected. So, and Obama got freaking slayed him on re-election. And that was just playing again and again on how stupid that is. But the sad thing is, Mitt Romney is right, because we live in a society where corporations are people too. And that is a damn problem. That is a really big problem.
America, problem after problem with the fireworks show every half year.
Yeah, like this is a shit show. That's a fact,
It is. It is.
Like, geez, like everyone like said, "Wow, how out of touch and stupid." No, he wasn't stupid and out of touch. He was just reiterating what the Supreme Court said. You know, like you wish he was out of touch and stupid. That's the problem. You know, it's like, yeah, I really, really wish we could laugh at you and say you don't know what you're talking about, but unfortunately, you do. So
It's
that's the
really
scary
sad.
thing, man.
Well,
Yeah, and but the thing is that if you want anything to change, that's one of the things you got to focus on. You got to get rid of that.
yeah.
You got to get rid of freaking Citizens United, but that's like herpes; it's never going to go away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can go away with this one simple trick. All it requires is a communist party that's functioning.
Yeah, no, no. Okay, listen, we all have our ideas. That's fine, but you know something. As long as you have the concept of the Supreme Court, it's I don't know, man. You know, because the
Yeah.
Supreme Court interprets all this stuff. So you know, even if you expand, you know, like if we have a more aggressive mixed economy, you know, with more socialist programs, it would it go away still? I don't know, man. It's still going to be kind of tough, you know. So
Yeah. And that's the thing is
you
that
know,
we need to figure out loopholes. I mean, hey, listen, you know what? Everyone thought Roe v. Wade was going to be an eternal document, and then it's like probably not going to be.
bro, listen, let me just tell you, freaking, Citizens United.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere, especially with this makeup of the court. You know, we got to wait a couple. We got to let nature take its course because remember, Supreme Court justices is for life. If you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah. Nope, I do. And we have a very
Yeah.
young Supreme Court right now, and it's very right wing, and it's going to be very scary.
Yeah, so when we're in our walkers and wheelchairs, and then we start changing them, you know, then we can start saying, hey, things are going to change. So,
Yeah, yeah, usually how it goes. But I just want to thank you for coming on the show again to talk about this because it is a serious issue. I just wish we had more time to discuss it. But, listen, maybe part two where we talk about it more. Maybe we could just like actually like jot down like 5 things that the two of us could agree on and say, okay, this seems like a good idea. Why don't you government do this?
yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I look forward to coming back to the show.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, listen, as always, it was a pleasure. And for all my listeners, thank you again for listening to episode 192 of Backpacking America. Until next time.